When I was a kid, there was this man named I'll just say Mr. S, who lived in my neighborhood who was very, very odd. And by I mean very odd, I mean that there was obviously something wrong with this man. He was a little off up here. So I'm not trying to come for him or anything. But when I was a kid, like, I could obviously tell he was off, but he would do erratic things. So I was scared of him, and I felt bad for being scared of him because, like, he was off. But when my parents first moved in here, yeah, it was when they first moved in. This man, like I said, he was off. He didn't know what he was doing, okay? There was something going on up here. He had this pattern of going into people's homes when they were sleeping and asking for a quarter. Yes, I know that sounds like the scariest thing in the entire world, because it is. And me personally, I would have had a heart attack if somebody walked into my house and asked if I had a quarter while I was sleeping. So my mom, the neighbors basically warned my mom of him. They were like, he's harmless, but like she told us, I wasn't even born yet. This was back in like the 90s, I think, or early 2000s. My neighbor told my parents, she was like, yeah, my husband was taking a nap the other day and he woke up to Mr. S above him and he was like, can I have a quarter? Because who expects to wake up to somebody hovering over them when they're taking a nap? So my mom was like, oh no, because my mom is, girl, somebody rings the doorbell and my mom is terrified. So my mom is like, thank you for warning me about him because I don't need that. So one day, somebody rings the doorbell. My mom thought it was my aunt because my aunt was living with my parents at the time. So she just opens the door out of habit. Why is Mr. S literally right here? Like, can I have a quarter? Walking into the house and my mom slams the door. You're going to try and run up in my house and ask me for a quarter like you live here? So fast forward to when me and my sister are kids, right? We had our whole neighborhood crew back in the day. Like, that was gang. Like, I'll always have love for them, but we always played outside because that was back when kids were normal and they played outside and they weren't greasy little iPad users. Anyway, sorry. I went on a little rant there. So we were all playing outside. We always played in our backyard because me and my sister, we had the biggest backyard. So we're playing, I think we were playing kickball, and we had, our neighborhood crew was a bunch of us. So we had enough people to, like, have two opposite teams and have, like, a decent amount on both opposite teams. So we thought that somebody was out. And they were like, we're not out. And we were like, y'all are out. So we're sitting there arguing back and forth. All of a sudden, y'all, why do we hear, I saw it, you were out. We turn around. Why is Mr. S standing in my backyard watching us? None of us said a single word to each other. We all just started hopping the fence and ran out of my backyard. That was the main story not main story, but the main event that made me petrified of him. Because when we all like linked back up because we all hopped different fences, we just started running. We were like, how long was he standing there watching us play kickball? Anyway, long story short, we all have no idea where Mr. S went. Like, literally, he just disappeared one day. No idea. All the OG people who still live in the neighborhood from back in the day when he was still around are like, I always wonder what happened to him. Because he was running rampant for a while in this neighborhood. Also, I was so scared of him when I was little. And my bedroom used to be downstairs. It's upstairs now. But one time I looked out my window, because my window was you can see directly into the backyard. Why was Mr. S back there? I was so scared I couldn't even, like, go get my parents. Like, he was just, like I said, he was off. I didn't know what was wrong with him. Nobody did. But that man did some very scary things. He was scaring me. Love him, though, because he gave me a good I always tell people about Mr. S. But I always wonder what happened to him. I wonder if he'll see this. He definitely won't. He definitely won't.
Get ready with me while I tell you why I dropped out of high school. And yes, you heard that right. I completely dropped out of high school on some random day. So to start, I moved from a huge 6A school to a 2A school in the middle of absolute nowhere. And at the time, I was all for it. I was so excited to move schools, but I don't think I really understood what I was getting myself into at all. So when I moved, it meant I was moving an hour away from almost all my friends, which I was like, it's fine, we'll figure it out. But the thing I didn't really realize is that this school was super country and I am very city, to say the least. So we moved here. I think this is going to be a great opportunity for me. I'm going to have so many friends and I'm honestly was really excited, but that is just not how this went at all. What started off making it so terrible is the people there did not like me at all. They had no interest in getting to know me. They had no interest in liking me at all. I just did not fit in there whatsoever. Which I will say, I am not perfect now and I was not perfect then, so I'm sure some of them did have good reason to not like me, but 99% of them had no reason whatsoever to not like me. But I'm running out of time, so y'all are gonna have to go to part 2 to finish the rest of the story. Part 2 on why I dropped out of high school on some random day. So since no one liked me there, I did in fact practically eat lunch alone every day at school. Like 99% of the time I was eating lunch alone. Which I like being alone, so it wasn't the most terrible thing in the world, but it was also just kind of hard knowing no one wanted to sit by me or no one wanted to eat with me, so I was literally hiding during lunch. So being at a new school and having hardly any friends, what is one gonna want to do? Not be there. So I did exactly that. I took it upon myself. Every opportunity I got, I would miss school. I would come up with any and every excuse to not be there if I didn't need to be. I also had really bad acne at the time, and kids were pretty evil to me about my skin. So I would do absolutely everything in my power to not be there, and my mom would leave for work before I had to leave for school, so I would literally not go, hoping she just wouldn't ever find out. Then, as any high school girl once does, I go to my mom, pleading and crying, begging her to withdraw me from school and homeschool me. I was like, I will do anything in the world to not have to go to that hellhole of a place because I hated it there. I was like, please. To which my mom told me, absolutely not. You are going to school. My mom is a teacher. She's like, you're going to school. You are not going homeschooled. You are going to school. But also around the same time is when my mom got a call from my principal telling her how many days of school I had missed. And she was not happy with me because she had no clue I was missing all the school at all. But I think that is when my mom really realized if I'm doing absolutely everything to not be at school when I used to love school, I clearly was pretty miserable. So that's when my mom finally realized how bad it really was, and she withdrew me from school, which I was very blessed and lucky to have a mom who understood and who was willing to do that. But I am honestly so grateful that this happened to me. It taught me so much and made me so much of a stronger person. So yeah, that's my story time on why I dropped out of high school. Bye.
Hey y'all, happy Monday. So story time. So a couple months ago, my sister met this new guy. After talking and chatting for a couple weeks, they decided to go out to dinner. So the guy took my sister to a restaurant in D.C. So that night, the night of their date, I was sitting in bed about 9:30 and my phone rings. And it's my sister crying in the phone, telling me that the guy that she went out to dinner with, not only did he leave her stranded at the restaurant, but he also left her stranded with a $173.64 dinner bill. So I get up because I got to go to D.C. and get my sister. So on the way back, I'm asking my sister about this guy, like where she met him and things like this. I asked her if he had any social media. She tells me, yeah, and tells me what his social media name is. I said, oh, okay, great. So that same night when I got back, I found him on social media and I jumped in his DMs. Well, needless to say, I've been catfishing this man for the last few weeks. I've catfished him enough to get my sister's $180 back, okay? So I get on here this Monday morning to say this to some of y'all out there. Be careful who you try to play with, because the person you play with may have a sister who is a Taurus and who's petty and will play with you. All right? Hey, I love your cookie crew. Enjoy your Monday. I'll talk to you later. Bye.